What if everything you thought you knew about Buckingham Palace was just the surface of something far more complex and secretive? Behind those iconic golden gates and perfectly manicured gardens lies a hidden world that operates by rules most people can't even imagine. While tourists gather outside to snap photos of the changing of the guard, sources claim that 95% of what actually happens inside this legendary building remains completely invisible to the public eye. This isn't just another royal residence. According to insiders, Buckingham Palace allegedly functions as a fortress, a private city, and a carefully guarded secret, all wrapped in the elegant facade of British tradition. Today we're pulling back the curtain on 20 shocking secrets that the royal family reportedly doesn't want you to discover. From underground tunnels that could hide military vehicles to nuclear bunkers designed for World War III, from bizarre dining rituals to hidden rivers flowing beneath the foundations, what we've uncovered sounds more like a spy thriller than reality. But here's what makes these revelations particularly intriguing. Every single one of these secrets allegedly serves a specific purpose in maintaining royal power, control, and mystique in the modern world. According to royal experts, nothing about Buckingham Palace is accidental. Every hidden room, every secret passage, every unusual tradition reportedly exists to reinforce the fundamental separation between the monarchy and ordinary British citizens. Let's begin with something that seems almost innocent until you really think about what it represents. Sources claim there's a dining rule at Buckingham Palace that reveals everything about how royal power actually operates. No guest, regardless of how important, how wealthy, how famous they might be, can take even a single bite of food until the Queen takes hers first. But here's where this tradition becomes genuinely shocking. According to former palace staff, the moment Her Majesty finished eating and placed her cutlery down, everyone's meal was instantly over. Whether you'd barely touched your plate or were halfway through your main course made absolutely no difference. Think about what this actually means. You could be a visiting head of state, a billionaire businessman, a celebrated artist, doesn't matter. At that table, you eat when the Queen eats, and you stop when she stops. Former guests have reportedly described the surreal experience of having waiters quietly remove plates, still laden with exquisite food, simply because protocol demanded it. Royal experts suggest this wasn't really about manners or etiquette. This was allegedly about demonstrating absolute control. Even something as basic and human as satisfying your hunger happens entirely on royal terms. According to sources who've studied palace protocol, the rules extend far beyond just when you're allowed to eat. There are allegedly strict regulations about seating arrangements that reflect precise hierarchies of power and favor. The distance between your chair and the Queen's seat reportedly signals your exact status in royal circles. Closer means more important. Further away means less significant. It's a visual representation of power that everyone at the table can instantly read and understand. Then there are the rules about how you handle your cutlery. According to etiquette experts familiar with royal dining, the angle at which you place your knife and fork sends specific signals to palace staff. Cutlery positioned one way means you're pausing between bites. Positioned differently means you're finished with that course. Get it wrong, and you might find your plate removed before you intended, or have servers hovering uncertainly while you continue eating, unsure whether you're done or simply resting. Sources claim there are even rules about which direction you pass condiments. Salt and pepper must allegedly travel in specific directions around the table based on centuries-old traditions. One former guest reportedly described the experience as simultaneously magnificent and terrifying, surrounded by priceless artwork, eating from gold plates worth more than luxury cars, yet constantly worried about committing some invisible breach of protocol that could mark you as someone who doesn't truly belong in royal company. According to social historians, this elaborate system of rules serves a deeper purpose than just maintaining order. It reportedly creates clear boundaries between insiders who understand palace culture and outsiders who don't. It reinforces, with every meal, that the royal family operates by different standards, follows different rules, exists in a fundamentally different reality than ordinary people. Even breaking bread together, one of humanity's oldest rituals of community and equality, becomes inside Buckingham Palace yet another demonstration of royal exceptionalism. Now let's discuss something that sounds like it belongs in a Cold War spy novel, but allegedly exists right beneath London's most famous address. According to multiple sources, Buckingham Palace sits atop an extensive network of secret underground tunnels that most Londoners have never heard about. We're not talking about simple basements or wine cellars. Reports describe a subterranean system extensive enough to allegedly accommodate vehicles, complete with reinforced walls, emergency lighting, and secure communication systems. According to architectural historians, the original tunnels were reportedly constructed during World War II when London faced relentless Nazi bombing campaigns. The royal family needed secure evacuation routes that would allow them to escape without ever appearing above ground, where they'd be vulnerable to air raids, enemy agents, or public panic. But here's the question that researchers still can't definitively answer. How far do these tunnels actually extend? Some sources claim they connect to nearby government buildings. Others suggest they might reach significantly further, creating what investigators call a shadow infrastructure beneath central London. Former security personnel have reportedly described entering these tunnels and finding a world that seems frozen in time. Thick concrete walls designed to withstand direct bomb hits, storage rooms stocked with emergency supplies, ventilation systems that would allow people to survive underground for extended periods. According to these sources, the tunnels aren't just escape routes. They allegedly represent a complete backup system, a way for the monarchy and key government officials to continue functioning even if the surface world descended into chaos. One particularly fascinating detail involves the tunnel's alleged capacity. Sources claim they're wide enough and tall enough to accommodate full-size vehicles, meaning royals could potentially travel across London entirely underground, moving between secure locations without ever being exposed to public view. Imagine the strategic value of such a system. During crises, protests, or security threats, the royal family could allegedly relocate anywhere they needed to go through routes that don't appear on any public map. But perhaps the most intriguing element of Buckingham Palace's underground world isn't man-made at all. According to urban historians, an ancient river called the Tyburn flows directly beneath the palace. This waterway once ran openly through London, but as the city expanded and developed, the river was gradually buried and enclosed in underground channels. Sources claim that if you descend deep enough into certain areas of the palace basement, you can actually hear the Tyburn rushing through its hidden course, a ghostly reminder that this grand symbol of British power was built directly atop London's concealed natural geography. According to researchers who've studied London's underground rivers, the Tyburn presents ongoing engineering challenges. The constant flow of water beneath the palace foundations allegedly requires specialized monitoring and maintenance. Reports suggest there's a dedicated team whose job involves inspecting the structural integrity of areas above the underground river, ensuring that the massive weight of Buckingham Palace pressing down doesn't create dangerous instability or flooding risks. Some sources claim the palace has sophisticated drainage and moisture control systems specifically designed to manage the presence of this hidden river. The Tyburn isn't just a curiosity, it reportedly influences everything from which areas of the palace can be used for certain purposes to how renovations and maintenance must be carefully planned. According to preservation experts, you can't just renovate a building that sits above an underground river the same way you'd handle a normal structure. Every modification allegedly requires consideration of water tables, structural stress, and the constant moisture that seeps up from below. Now here's something that changes how you think about Buckingham Palace entirely. According to sources, this isn't really a house at all. It's allegedly a self-contained city with facilities that would shock anyone who imagines it as simply a grand residence. Reports claim there's a fully operational post office inside the palace, processing thousands of letters and packages daily. But this isn't just for royal correspondence. Palace staff members reportedly have access to this exclusive postal service, and here's the detail that collectors find particularly intriguing. Mail sent from inside Buckingham Palace allegedly carries special postmarks that identify it as originating from within the palace walls. According to postal historians, these Buckingham Palace postmarks have become genuinely valuable among collectors. Sources claim there are specialized markets where envelopes bearing these unique marks sell for significant amounts, particularly if they're from historically important dates or events. Some collectors allegedly seek out correspondence from palace staff members specifically to acquire these rare postmarks. It's a strange intersection of royal mystique and collectible culture. Even something as mundane as mailing a letter becomes special when it happens inside Buckingham Palace. Then there's what sources describe as a fully equipped medical center, According to reports, the palace maintains doctors' offices and medical facilities staffed by physicians specifically assigned to royal care. But some claims go significantly further, suggesting there's actually surgical capability on site. If true, this would mean that members of the royal family could reportedly receive serious medical procedures without ever leaving the palace grounds. According to medical experts familiar with royal security protocols, this makes strategic sense. Transporting a reigning monarch to a public hospital creates enormous logistical nightmares. Roads must be closed, security sweeps conducted, staff vetted, entire hospital wings potentially secured. Having sophisticated medical capabilities inside the palace allegedly allows for immediate care during emergencies while maintaining the security and privacy that royal protection demands. Former staff members have reportedly described seeing medical professionals entering through discreet side entrances, suggesting that regular health monitoring and preventive care happens entirely within palace walls, invisible to public knowledge. According to sources, the medical facilities allegedly include diagnostic equipment, pharmaceutical supplies, and the capability to stabilize patients during serious emergencies until they can be safely transported to specialized hospitals if more extensive treatment becomes necessary. According to palace watchers, there's something else hidden inside these walls that sounds almost unbelievable. A working jeweler's workshop where the crown jewels are maintained and repaired. Can you even imagine the security protocols surrounding that room? Sources claim that only a small number of master craftspeople in the entire world possess the security clearance and specialized skills necessary to work on these priceless historical artifacts. Some of these jewels are centuries old, worth more than most people could earn in several lifetimes, and carry historical significance that makes them literally irreplaceable. According to jewelry experts, precious metals need regular cleaning to prevent tarnishing. Gemstones require inspection for damage or loosening, settings need reinforcement as metal gradually weakens over decades of wear, and historical pieces demand specialized preservation techniques to prevent deterioration. Reports suggest the jewelers who work on royal pieces undergo extraordinarily thorough background investigations and sign strict confidentiality agreements. According to sources, they allegedly work in highly secure rooms with strictly controlled access, under constant video surveillance, with every single gemstone and fragment of precious metal carefully weighed and documented both before and after any maintenance work. The security allegedly rivals major banks or military installations. Some sources claim that even the smallest diamond chip removed during cleaning must be accounted for and returned, with documentation tracking every moment these priceless items spend outside their secure storage. It's a level of control and precision that most people never consider when they see photos of royals wearing glittering tiaras and elaborate necklaces at state functions. But here's something that sounds almost comically specific until you understand the scale involved. Reports suggest Buckingham Palace employs full-time clock specialists whose entire job revolves around maintaining the palace's timepieces. According to sources, there are over 350 clocks distributed throughout the building, each requiring regular winding, adjustment, and occasional repair. According to horological experts, many of these aren't simple modern clocks. They're antique pieces, some allegedly dating back centuries, each with unique mechanical systems requiring specialized knowledge. Sources claim these specialists don't merely wind clocks, they allegedly understand the historical provenance and mechanical intricacies of each individual timepiece. Some are reportedly so valuable and historically significant that damaging one during routine maintenance could constitute a genuine cultural loss. Former staff members have described walking through certain palace corridors and hearing constant ticking from dozens of clocks, creating an atmosphere where time itself seems amplified and multiplied. According to these reports, keeping all these mechanisms synchronized and functional requires genuine expertise and daily attention. Then there's an even more specialized role that most people have never heard of, the fendersmith. According to sources, this person's entire job involves maintaining and polishing the ornate fireplaces and decorative metalwork throughout the palace. This isn't just about keeping brass shiny. The palace allegedly contains dozens of historical fireplaces featuring intricate metalwork created by master craftspeople from previous centuries. Reports suggest many of these fireplaces are considered artworks in themselves, with some designed by famous artisans whose work now exists in museums. The fendersmith allegedly uses traditional techniques and specialized tools passed down through generations, working with materials and methods that preserve historical authenticity. According to preservation experts, this kind of hyper-specialized role demonstrates something important about how Buckingham Palace operates. Even elements that most visitors would never notice or appreciate receive dedicated expert attention. It's a level of detail and historical preservation that reportedly extends to virtually every aspect of the building. Now let's talk about luxury amenities that exist purely for royal pleasure and convenience. According to sources, there's a private indoor swimming pool that was allegedly installed during the 1930s and remains in regular use today. But reports claim this isn't some simple rectangular pool. Sources describe elaborate period tile work maintained by specialists, architectural details reflecting 1930s glamour, and a setting that allegedly rivals exclusive luxury resorts. According to architectural historians, indoor pools during that era were considered the ultimate status symbol, available only to the extraordinarily wealthy. Some sources claim the pool area includes luxurious changing facilities, relaxation spaces, and possibly even a sauna. Former staff members have allegedly described seeing the pool and being struck by how it combines vintage elegance with modern functionality. According to reports, the water is maintained at a constant, comfortable temperature year-round by staff who ensure it's perpetually ready for royal use, regardless of season or weather conditions outside. Then there's the private tennis court, allegedly maintained to professional tournament standards, allowing royals to practice and play without the security complications that would come with using public facilities. According to sports historians, several royal family members have been genuinely passionate tennis players. Having a private court allegedly allows them high-level practice in complete privacy. Some sources claim this court has quietly hosted matches with professional players discreetly invited to provide competition for royal family members, all happening completely away from media attention or public knowledge. Reports suggest specialized groundskeepers maintain the court surface to standards that rival Wimbledon, ensuring perfect playing conditions regardless of weather. According to sources, royals can allegedly step onto this court and experience professional quality conditions without ever leaving the security and privacy of palace grounds. It represents yet another way Buckingham Palace allegedly functions as a completely self-contained world where royals can pursue virtually any activity without ever needing to venture into public spaces. The reported helipad adds another layer to understanding how Buckingham Palace allegedly functions as a completely self-sufficient fortress. According to aviation experts, this isn't just a landing pad, it's reportedly a strategic asset that allows the royal family to travel across London or even across Britain without ever touching public roads, airports, or transportation systems where they'd be exposed to crowds, traffic, or potential security threats. Think about the implications of this for a moment. Sources claim you could allegedly fly from Buckingham Palace to Windsor Castle in under 15 minutes, completely bypassing motorways, avoiding all surface-level surveillance, and maintaining absolute privacy throughout the entire journey. According to former security personnel, the helipad allegedly operates under strict protocols with designated flight paths that avoid certain airspace, maintain specific altitudes over residential areas, and coordinate with London's complex aviation control systems. Reports suggest there are backup landing zones throughout the palace grounds in case weather or technical issues prevent use of the primary helipad. Some sources claim the palace maintains its own aviation support staff who ensure helicopters are constantly maintained, fueled, and ready for immediate deployment if the royal family needs to evacuate or relocate quickly. The strategic value becomes even clearer when you consider crisis scenarios. According to security analysts, during civil unrest, terrorist threats, or national emergencies, the ability to extract the royal family by air without any ground transport creates options that wouldn't otherwise exist. Sources suggest evacuation drills allegedly include helipad scenarios, with staff trained on rapid departure procedures that could get royals airborne within minutes of a threat being identified. Perhaps most surprisingly, reports suggest there's a private cinema inside Buckingham Palace that rivals commercial theaters in terms of technology and comfort. According to entertainment industry sources, this isn't some modest screening room with a projector and folding chairs. Sources describe a sophisticated facility allegedly equipped with state-of-the-art projection systems, premium sound technology, and seating that reportedly matches or exceeds luxury cinemas. But here's what makes this particularly intriguing. According to some reports, royals allegedly receive advanced screenings of major films, sometimes even before official premieres or general release. According to sources familiar with the entertainment industry's relationship with the palace, studios and distributors reportedly consider it an honor to provide early access to films for royal viewing. Some claims suggest British films in particular are sometimes screened at the palace before their public debut, giving filmmakers a chance to present their work to the royal family in an exclusive setting. Former palace staff have allegedly described the cinema as surprisingly modern despite the palace's historical atmosphere, with regular technology upgrades ensuring it maintains cutting-edge capabilities. Think about what this represents. While ordinary citizens wait in line at multiplexes, sources claim royals can watch virtually any film they want in complete privacy, comfort, and often before it's available to anyone else. It's yet another example of how Buckingham Palace allegedly creates a parallel reality where normal limitations simply don't apply. Now let's discuss some features that sound so bizarre you'd think they couldn't possibly be real. According to multiple sources, Buckingham Palace has its own ATM, but this isn't accessible to just anyone. Reports claim this cash machine was installed exclusively for palace staff and members of the royal household, allegedly provided by Coutts, the ultra-exclusive private bank that has served British aristocracy for centuries. According to financial historians, Coutts has been banker to the royal family since the 1700s, and installing a dedicated ATM inside palace walls reportedly represents the kind of personalized service this institution provides to its most elite clients. But here's what makes this detail particularly fascinating. According to sources, this ATM allegedly operates on a completely separate system from public banking networks. Some reports suggest transactions may not appear on standard banking systems the same way ordinary ATM withdrawals do, potentially providing an additional layer of privacy for palace employees. Former staff members have reportedly described the convenience of having banking access without ever needing to leave the palace grounds, though the ATM allegedly has withdrawal limits and operates under specific security protocols. According to banking experts, the presence of this ATM raises interesting questions about financial infrastructure. Does it connect to external networks? Is it serviced by regular Coutts staff or by personnel with special palace security clearance? How is cash physically delivered to restock it? Sources claim even something as mundane as maintaining an ATM inside Buckingham Palace allegedly involves security considerations and logistical complexity that wouldn't apply anywhere else. Then there's something that sounds even more extraordinary. Reports claim there's actually a police station inside Buckingham Palace grounds. We're not talking about a security office or guard post. According to sources, there's allegedly a full Metropolitan Police operational facility within the palace, complete with office space, communication systems, and reportedly even holding cells. According to law enforcement experts, this makes Buckingham Palace one of the only private residences in the world with a fully functional police station on its premises. But here's where this gets genuinely intriguing. Some reports suggest suspects have actually been detained in these palace holding cells, though official confirmation of specific incidents remains difficult to obtain due to security classifications and privacy protocols. According to sources familiar with palace security arrangements, having police facilities on site allegedly allows for immediate response to security threats, trespassing incidents, or potential criminal activity without the delays that would come from coordinating with external law enforcement facilities. Former palace security staff have reportedly described the police presence as both visible and invisible. Uniformed officers conducting regular patrols that visitors and staff see daily, but also plainclothes officers and surveillance systems that operate completely out of sight. According to these sources, the police station allegedly serves as a coordination hub for the multiple layers of security protecting the palace, integrating palace guards, Metropolitan Police, and reportedly even intelligence service personnel into a unified security operation. Think about the legal implications of this arrangement. If someone is arrested on palace grounds, are they processed through normal Metropolitan Police procedures, or does the palace location create unique jurisdictional considerations? According to legal experts, the palace exists in a somewhat ambiguous space legally. It's private royal property, but also a working government facility and tourist attraction. Sources suggest arrests and security incidents allegedly follow standard legal procedures, but the presence of on-site police facilities creates efficiency and discretion that wouldn't exist if suspects had to be transported to public police stations. Now here's something that sounds almost whimsically out of place among all these security features and secret tunnels. Buckingham Palace reportedly maintains beehives. According to sources, royal beekeeping allegedly began during Queen Victoria's reign in the 1800s and has continued as a tradition ever since. But this isn't just a quirky hobby. According to palace gardeners and beekeeping experts, these hives allegedly produce honey exclusively for royal consumption, and some whispers suggest this exclusive honey has appeared at state dinners served to visiting world leaders and dignitaries. According to apiculture specialists, the palace grounds allegedly provide an unusually rich environment for bees. The extensive gardens contain diverse flowering plants, creating conditions that reportedly produce exceptional honey with complex flavor profiles you couldn't replicate elsewhere. Sources claim the palace employs or contracts with expert beekeepers who maintain the hives according to traditional methods, harvesting honey in limited quantities that makes it genuinely rare and valuable. But here's what makes this tradition particularly intriguing from a historical perspective. According to royal historians, Victorian-era aristocracy considered beekeeping a gentleman's pursuit, a way of demonstrating scientific interest and agricultural stewardship while also producing a luxury commodity. By maintaining this tradition into the 21st century, sources suggest the royal family is allegedly preserving a tangible connection to 19th century royal life, keeping alive practices that have otherwise largely disappeared from modern aristocratic culture. Former palace staff have reportedly described seeing the beehives during access to restricted garden areas, and some sources claim the honey is occasionally given as exclusive gifts to special guests or used in palace kitchens for specific recipes. According to culinary historians, using honey from one's own estate was once a common practice among the wealthy, but in modern times it's become exceptionally rare, making Buckingham Palace's continued beekeeping a genuine anomaly. There's even a stranger historical detail that sounds almost too eccentric to believe. According to multiple sources, Buckingham Palace once housed flamingos. Reports suggest these exotic birds were a gift from a foreign dignitary, creating what former palace staff have described as a genuinely bizarre situation. According to sources, the flamingos allegedly lived on palace grounds for a period of time, creating significant logistical challenges for groundskeepers who had to maintain appropriate habitat conditions for tropical birds in London's climate. According to zoological experts, flamingos require specific water conditions, particular diets, and environmental temperatures that don't naturally occur in Britain. Sources claim palace staff allegedly went to considerable effort to accommodate these unusual residents, creating specialized facilities that would allow the birds to survive in their royal home. Former employees have reportedly described the surreal experience of seeing flamingos wandering palace grounds that normally hosted formal garden parties and diplomatic receptions. While it's unclear whether flamingos still reside at the palace or if this was a temporary historical situation, the story allegedly illustrates something important about royal gift-giving protocols. According to diplomatic historians, refusing gifts from foreign leaders creates potential international incidents, meaning the royal family sometimes allegedly accepts presents that create genuine practical difficulties. The flamingos reportedly represent an extreme example of this dynamic, diplomatic courtesy requiring acceptance of a gift that then required significant resources and effort to properly maintain. Perhaps one of the most touching and humanizing secrets involves what sources describe as the Girl Guide House. According to royal historians, Princess Elizabeth, before becoming Queen Elizabeth II, was a member of a special Girl Guide troupe that allegedly met exclusively within Buckingham Palace grounds. This reportedly wasn't just about participating in Girl Guide activities. According to sources, it represented one of the few ways the future queen could experience something resembling normal childhood socialization and activities, albeit in the most extraordinary setting imaginable. According to these reports, a dedicated structure or space within the palace grounds allegedly served as the meeting place for this exclusive troupe. Sources claim other troupe members were daughters of aristocratic families and palace staff, carefully selected to provide appropriate companionship for the young princess while maintaining the security and privacy protocols that surrounded royal children. Former Girl Guides who allegedly participated in this unique troupe have reportedly described it as simultaneously normal and surreal, doing typical Girl Guide activities like earning badges and learning skills, but doing so within the grounds of Buckingham Palace under the watch of royal security. According to youth development experts, this arrangement allegedly demonstrated awareness that even future monarchs benefit from structured peer interaction and the character-building activities that organizations like Girl Guides provide. But it also reportedly shows the extreme lengths the royal family goes to in order to maintain separation from ordinary society. Even childhood activities allegedly happened in isolated, controlled environments rather than in community settings where royal children would mix with the general public. Sources suggest this Girl Guide house may still exist within palace grounds, though its current use remains unclear. According to preservation experts, the royal family reportedly maintains many historical structures and spaces even when their original purposes have become obsolete, viewing them as part of the palace's living history. Now we need to discuss what might be the most sobering and serious secret of all, the nuclear bunker. According to Cold War historians, Buckingham Palace allegedly contains a fortified underground shelter specifically designed to protect the royal family in the event of nuclear attack. This wasn't paranoia or excessive caution. According to historical records, during the height of Cold War tensions in the 1950s through 80s, the threat of Soviet nuclear missiles targeting London felt genuinely imminent to British defense planners. Sources claim this bunker was constructed with reinforced concrete walls, allegedly several feet thick, capable of withstanding significant blast pressure and radiation. According to engineering experts familiar with Cold War-era shelter construction, facilities like this reportedly included air filtration systems specifically designed to remove radioactive particles from outside air, water storage and purification capabilities, food supplies calculated to sustain occupants for extended periods, independent power generation, and communication systems that could function even if surface infrastructure was completely destroyed. But here's the question that haunts researchers and journalists who've investigated this topic: is the bunker still maintained and operational? According to some sources, it was decommissioned after the Cold War ended and Soviet threat diminished. Other reports suggest it remains functional as part of Britain's continuity of government protocols, ensuring that the monarchy could survive and continue functioning even in the most catastrophic scenarios. The truth, as with so many palace secrets, allegedly remains locked behind layers of official secrecy and national security classifications that prevent public disclosure. According to constitutional experts, there's actually sound reasoning for maintaining such facilities even in the post-Cold War era. Britain's constitutional monarchy means the sovereign plays specific roles in government continuity during national emergencies. Sources suggest that ensuring the monarch's survival during catastrophic events isn't just about protecting an individual, it's allegedly about preserving constitutional governance structures that might be critical for national recovery and legitimacy after a crisis. Former military personnel with knowledge of continuity planning have reportedly described Cold War-era protocols that included specific procedures for evacuating the royal family to secure locations during nuclear attack warnings. According to these sources, Buckingham Palace's bunker allegedly represented just one layer of a comprehensive survival plan that included multiple secure facilities across Britain where royals could be relocated depending on threat assessments and available warning time. Some reports suggest the bunker connects to the underground tunnel system we discussed earlier, potentially allowing the royal family to evacuate into protected underground space and then travel to other secure locations without ever appearing above ground. According to security analysts, this kind of interconnected underground infrastructure represents Cold War thinking at its most elaborate, creating redundant systems and multiple options to ensure survival, even under worst-case scenarios. What does all of this mean for the future of the British monarchy? According to constitutional experts and political analysts, these secrets raise fundamental questions about whether an institution built on such extraordinary privilege and separation can survive in an increasingly transparent, democratic world. Sources suggest that younger generations, particularly in Britain itself, are reportedly growing more skeptical about monarchy as an institution, questioning whether hereditary power and taxpayer-funded luxury can be justified in the 21st century. According to polling data from recent years, support for the monarchy allegedly remains strong among older Britons who grew up during Queen Elizabeth's reign, but sources claim it drops significantly among younger demographics. Millennials and Generation Z reportedly show far less deference to royal tradition and increasingly question why their society maintains an unelected head of state living in extraordinary luxury, while many ordinary citizens struggle with housing costs, healthcare access, and economic insecurity. Royal commentators point out that these generational shifts pose genuine challenges for the monarchy's long-term survival. According to these analysts, the institution has historically relied on a combination of tradition, mystique, and emotional attachment that allegedly becomes harder to maintain as each generation grows more distant from the historical events that cemented the monarchy's emotional significance. For people who didn't live through World War II, who don't remember the Queen's coronation, who see royalty primarily through tabloid scandals and Netflix dramas, sources suggest the institution's relevance becomes increasingly unclear. According to media researchers, the rise of social media and digital culture has reportedly created particular challenges for royal image management. The palace traditionally controlled its narrative through carefully managed relationships with established media outlets, granting access and exclusives to journalists who covered royalty with appropriate deference. But sources claim this model breaks down in an era where anyone with a smartphone can share information, where former staff members can potentially reach massive audiences through platforms the palace doesn't control, and where younger royals themselves sometimes bypass official communication channels entirely. The revelations about palace secrets we've discussed allegedly illustrate this tension. According to journalists, information that would have remained completely hidden 50 years ago now leaks through former employees, freedom of information requests, investigative reporting, and simple accumulation of details that paint pictures the palace might prefer remained invisible. Sources suggest that maintaining mystery and mystique becomes exponentially harder when thousands of people have worked in the palace over decades, when architectural records exist in archives, when security contractors and service providers all have pieces of information that collectively reveal far more than officials would choose to disclose. According to Republican activists who advocate for abolishing the monarchy and replacing it with an elected head of state, these palace secrets allegedly provide ammunition for their cause. They point to the underground bunkers, the exclusive facilities, the wine collections worth millions, and argue that this demonstrates a family living in obscene luxury at public expense while contributing nothing that couldn't be provided by elected officials in a proper republic. Sources claim Republican sentiment, while still a minority position in Britain, has allegedly grown stronger in recent years, particularly following controversies involving Prince Andrew, Prince Harry's departure from royal duties, and ongoing questions about royal finances and transparency. Defenders of the monarchy counter that these critics misunderstand both the institution's value and its actual costs. According to royal supporters, the monarchy allegedly provides Britain with diplomatic soft power that can't be quantified in simple economic terms. When the Queen met with world leaders, according to these sources, she brought decades of experience, personal relationships spanning generations, and a gravitas that reportedly opened doors and smoothed diplomatic relationships in ways elected politicians couldn't replicate. According to this perspective, palace facilities like the staterooms, the art collections, even features like the wine vaults allegedly serve genuine governmental functions, hosting diplomatic receptions and state dinners that advance British interests. Royal supporters claim that if Britain abolished the monarchy, it would still need to maintain impressive facilities for entertaining foreign dignitaries, hosting state functions, and projecting national prestige, meaning many of these costs would reportedly continue under any governmental system. But perhaps more fundamentally, according to constitutional historians, the debate over monarchy's future isn't really about money or even about fairness. It's allegedly about competing visions of what Britain is and should be. For supporters, the monarchy reportedly represents continuity, tradition, and connection to Britain's long history as a nation. According to this worldview, having an institution that transcends normal politics, that represents the nation rather than any particular party or ideology, provides stability and unity that elected officials inevitably lack. According to sources who've studied constitutional monarchies worldwide, countries that maintain royal families, Britain, Spain, Netherlands, Belgium, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Japan tend to be stable, prosperous democracies with strong institutions. Supporters argue this isn't coincidental. They claim monarchy allegedly provides a nonpartisan focal point for national identity that prevents the head of state position from becoming just another prize in political battles. According to this reasoning, having the Queen open Parliament meant that ceremony emphasized governmental continuity rather than partisan victory, theoretically reminding politicians that they serve something larger than their political party. Critics respond that this argument essentially says democracy works better when you preserve an aristocratic institution at its symbolic center. According to Republican theorists, this allegedly reveals democracy's incompleteness in Britain, that the country hasn't fully committed to the principle that all citizens are genuinely equal, that power should be earned rather than inherited, that no family deserves special status by virtue of bloodline. Sources suggest that countries like France, Germany, and the United States function perfectly well with elected heads of state, demonstrating that monarchy isn't necessary for stability, prosperity, or effective governance. According to political scientists who've studied this question, there's no clear empirical evidence that constitutional monarchies outperform republics in governance quality, economic performance, or citizen well-being. The most successful democracies include both types of systems. Sources suggest this means monarchy's value or harm can't be proven through objective metrics. It ultimately comes down to subjective judgments about tradition, symbolism, and what kind of society people want to live in. But here's what makes these questions particularly urgent right now. According to royal observers, the transition from Queen Elizabeth II to King Charles III represented the most significant change in British monarchy in over 70 years. The Queen allegedly commanded enormous personal respect that transcended political opinions about monarchy as an institution. Even Republicans often reportedly acknowledged her dedication and service while opposing the system she represented. King Charles, according to polling data, doesn't benefit from the same universal affection or respect. Sources suggest this creates an opportunity for serious national conversation about monarchy's future that might not have been possible during Elizabeth's lifetime. According to constitutional experts, Britain could theoretically choose to end hereditary monarchy after Charles, making William the last Prince of Wales but not the future king. Or it could gradually reduce royal roles, funding, and privileges, maintaining symbolic monarchy while eliminating most of the actual power and luxury. According to these analysts, multiple paths exist between the current system and complete abolition, but they require political will to actually examine the question rather than simply defaulting to tradition. The palace secrets we've uncovered allegedly illustrate what's at stake in these debates. Are underground tunnels and nuclear bunkers reasonable security precautions for a head of state? Or do they represent Cold War paranoia maintained at public expense decades after it's necessary? Is a private cinema a reasonable amenity for a working palace that hosts diplomatic functions? Or is it an indefensible luxury when ordinary citizens face NHS waiting lists and housing shortages? According to sources, how you answer these questions reportedly depends entirely on whether you view monarchy as a valuable institution worthy of support or an anachronistic system that should be phased out. According to younger royals themselves, particularly William and Kate, there's reportedly awareness that the monarchy must evolve or risk irrelevance. Sources claim they've allegedly attempted to project a more accessible, relatable image, taking commercial flights sometimes instead of always using royal transportation, showing their children in more casual settings, engaging with modern media in ways previous generations avoided. According to royal watchers, these efforts represent genuine attempts to adapt the institution for contemporary expectations. But critics argue that cosmetic changes in public relations don't address fundamental issues of inherited privilege and undemocratic power. According to Republican activists, no amount of relatability theater changes the fact that one family allegedly receives extraordinary wealth, privilege, and status simply by virtue of birth. Sources suggest that as long as these underlying structures remain intact, public relations adjustments don't constitute genuine reform, just more sophisticated image management. According to media analysts, the Netflix series The Crown and the controversies surrounding Harry and Meghan's departure have reportedly changed how millions of people worldwide think about British monarchy. These narratives allegedly presented royal life as suffocating, archaic, and built on outdated class hierarchies. images that particularly resonate with younger audiences who already question traditional authority structures. Sources claim the monarchy lost significant support, especially internationally, when stories emerged about how Meghan was reportedly treated, raising questions about institutional racism and whether the palace culture reflects values that most people in diverse modern societies reject. Former palace staff who've gone public with their experiences, either through authorized books or unauthorized interviews, have reportedly painted pictures that don't always align with the carefully managed official image. According to these accounts, working for the royal family can allegedly involve long hours, relatively modest pay compared to corporate equivalents, and a hierarchy that some describe as outdated and occasionally petty. While many former employees speak fondly of their service, others have reportedly described feeling undervalued or frustrated by systems they perceived as inefficient and resistant to change. According to organizational management experts, institutions like Buckingham Palace face unique challenges in modernizing because they're simultaneously trying to be efficient modern organizations while preserving traditions and protocols that are centuries old. Sources suggest this creates inevitable tensions. Systems that made sense in Victorian times allegedly persist because changing them feels like abandoning tradition, yet maintaining them creates inefficiencies that frustrate people accustomed to contemporary workplace norms. The secrets we've explored today, from dining rules to nuclear bunkers, from beehives to wine vaults, allegedly represent visible symbols of these deeper tensions. They're reminders that Buckingham Palace isn't really a house or even a museum. According to sources, it's a living institution trying to balance historical preservation with contemporary function, public service with private privilege, transparency with necessary security and privacy. According to historians who study monarchies' evolution over centuries, institutions that survive are those that successfully adapt while maintaining enough continuity to preserve their essential identity. The British monarchy has reportedly demonstrated remarkable adaptability, transitioning from absolute power to constitutional figurehead, surviving 2 world wars and decolonization, adjusting to television and internet-age scrutiny. Each era brought challenges that could have ended the institution, yet it allegedly persisted by making just enough concessions to changing times while preserving core elements. But sources suggest the challenges facing monarchy today may be fundamentally different. Previous eras questioned the monarchy's power or political role. Contemporary debates reportedly question its very existence, not whether royals should have less power, but whether hereditary monarchy makes sense at all in societies that claim to value equality and merit. According to constitutional experts, this represents a more existential threat than the monarchy has faced in centuries. So what happens next? According to sources, much depends on choices made in coming years. If the monarchy continues evolving toward a scaled-down Scandinavian model with reduced formality, expense, and privilege, it might reportedly maintain public support by seeming more proportionate to contemporary values. If it resists change and clings to maximum privilege and ceremony, sources suggest younger generations may increasingly view it as an embarrassing anachronism rather than a source of national pride. The 20 secrets we've revealed today allegedly matter not just as interesting historical details, but as symbols of the choices facing Britain. Every underground tunnel, every exclusive facility, every unusual privilege represents a decision about what kind of society Britain wants to be. According to analysts, these aren't just royal secrets, they're allegedly national questions about equality, tradition, democracy, and identity that Britain hasn't fully confronted or resolved. According to former palace insiders, many staff members, even those who dedicate careers to serving the royal family, reportedly have mixed feelings about the institution. They often speak of genuine affection for individual royals they've served, pride in preserving British heritage and tradition, and appreciation for the craftsmanship and historical preservation involved in maintaining these incredible buildings and collections. Yet some also reportedly express private doubts about whether such extraordinary privilege can be justified, whether the system should continue, whether their work serves purposes valuable enough to warrant the resources invested. These ambivalences allegedly reflect broader public sentiment. Polls consistently show that most Britons support keeping the monarchy, but sources suggest that support often coexists with discomfort about specific aspects: the cost, the formality, the the sense that it perpetuates class divisions. According to researchers, many people simultaneously value tradition while feeling uneasy about inequality, appreciate pageantry while questioning expense, respect individual royals while doubting the institution. Perhaps that tension, that simultaneous embrace and skepticism, represents exactly where British society stands right now. According to cultural observers, Britain is allegedly a country caught between past and future, between tradition and modernity, between the world it was and the world it's becoming. The monarchy, with all its secrets and contradictions, reportedly embodies that tension perfectly. As you think about everything we've uncovered today, consider what it reveals not just about Buckingham Palace, but about power, privilege, and democracy in the modern world. According to sources, every nation maintains secrets, every government has classified facilities, every society includes inequalities and contradictions between stated values and actual practices. Britain's particular contradictions allegedly just happen to be wrapped in crown jewels and centered in a palace that's simultaneously a tourist attraction, a working government facility, a private home, and a symbol of national identity. The underground rivers still flow beneath Buckingham Palace. The nuclear bunker still exists in darkness, whether maintained or abandoned. The wine vaults still hold their priceless bottles. The beehives still produce their exclusive honey, and the royal family still lives lives fundamentally different from their subjects, protected by secrets, privileges, and systems that most people will never fully understand. Whether that should continue, according to experts, is a question Britain hasn't yet definitively answered, and perhaps, sources suggest, it's finally time for that conversation to happen openly, honestly, and with full awareness of what's really at stake. As we close this investigation into Buckingham Palace's hidden world, let's reflect on what these 20 secrets actually mean when you consider them together as a complete picture. According to royal experts and investigative journalists, what we've uncovered isn't just a collection of interesting facts about a famous building. Sources suggest these revelations allegedly provide a rare glimpse into how power actually operates in modern Britain, not through the visible ceremonies and public appearances that dominate media coverage, but through invisible infrastructure and privileges that most citizens never consider. The dining rules that dictate when guests can eat, the underground tunnels that allow movement without public exposure, the nuclear bunker that ensures survival during catastrophes, the exclusive medical facilities that eliminate need for public hospitals, the private post office, the wine collections worth millions, the jeweler's workshop maintaining priceless artifacts. According to analysts, every single one of these features reportedly serves to maintain fundamental separation between the royal family and ordinary society. According to constitutional historians, this separation isn't accidental or merely practical. Sources claim it's allegedly the entire point of monarchy as an institution. If royals lived like everyone else, experienced the same limitations, depended on the same services, they would reportedly lose the mystique and special status that makes monarchy meaningful. The secrets and privileges we've explored allegedly aren't aberrations from how monarchy should work. They're essential features that allow the institution to function as it does. But here's the question that these revelations force us to confront. According to democratic theorists and political philosophers, can a society genuinely claim to be egalitarian and merit-based while maintaining an institution built entirely on inherited privilege and systematic separation from normal life? Sources suggest this represents a fundamental contradiction at the heart of British identity, a nation that projects democratic values while preserving aristocratic structures that contradict those very principles. According to polling data and social research, public opinion on these questions remains genuinely divided. Supporters of the monarchy argue that tradition, continuity, and national identity justify maintaining the institution despite its inherent inequalities. According to this perspective, not everything in society needs to be justified through strict democratic principles. Sources suggest these supporters believe some things. Historical institutions, cultural traditions, national symbols allegedly deserve preservation simply because they connect present to past and provide continuity in a rapidly changing world. Critics counter that this argument essentially asks ordinary citizens to accept that one family deserves extraordinary privilege by virtue of birth, while everyone else must earn their position through merit and effort. According to Republican activists, this allegedly teaches children from the moment they're born that equality is a lie, that society officially recognizes some people as inherently more valuable than others based purely on bloodline. Sources claim this contradicts every principle that modern democracies claim to hold sacred. According to educators and child development experts, children do internalize messages about hierarchy and worth from the societies they grow up in. When a nation maintains monarchy, sources suggest it sends powerful signals about who matters and who doesn't, whose lives are valuable enough to protect with nuclear bunkers and underground tunnels, whose comfort justifies private cinemas and swimming pools maintained at public expense. Critics argue that these messages allegedly shape attitudes about class, privilege, and equality in ways that extend far beyond the royal family itself. But supporters respond that monarchy provides something valuable that can't be reduced to simple cost-benefit analysis or democratic principles. According to this view, having an institution that transcends normal politics, that represents the nation rather than any party or ideology, allegedly provides stability and unity that elected officials inevitably lack. Sources claim that during national crises, celebrations, or mourning, the monarchy reportedly offers a focal point for collective emotion that wouldn't exist if Britain had a president who represented only the political faction that elected them. According to historians who study national identity and collective psychology, symbols do matter in ways that purely rational analysis might miss. The monarchy, according to this perspective, allegedly serves as a living link to British history, embodying continuity across centuries in ways that elected governments cycling every few years cannot. Sources suggest that for many Britons, particularly older generations, the Queen wasn't just an individual, but a symbol of values, sacrifice, and national character that felt genuinely meaningful and worth preserving. Yet younger generations, according to research data, increasingly question whether these symbolic benefits justify the costs and contradictions. Sources claim millennials and Generation Z show far less automatic deference to tradition and institutions, instead judging them by contemporary standards of fairness, equality, and relevance. For demographics that have grown up with diversity, social justice movements, and heightened awareness of privilege and inequality, the monarchy allegedly represents exactly the kind of outdated hierarchy that modern societies should be dismantling rather than celebrating. According to media researchers, the stories that reach younger audiences about royalty increasingly focus on dysfunction, restriction, and outdated attitudes rather than duty, service, and tradition. The narrative of Meghan and Harry reportedly resonates with younger, more diverse demographics precisely because it frames the palace as an institution resistant to change, uncomfortable with difference, and more concerned with protecting its image than treating people fairly. Sources suggest these narratives have allegedly damaged the monarchy's reputation in ways that may prove difficult to repair. The 20 secrets we've revealed today exist within this larger context of debate about monarchy's future. Each underground tunnel, each exclusive facility, each unusual privilege represents a choice about what Britain values and what kind of society it wants to be. According to constitutional experts, these aren't just decisions about one family or one building. They allegedly reflect fundamental questions about equality, democracy, tradition, and national identity that Britain hasn't fully resolved. So where does all this leave us? According to sources close to palace operations, there's reportedly awareness within royal circles that the institution faces genuine challenges in the coming decades. The transition from Elizabeth to Charles marked the end of an era when the monarch commanded nearly universal respect, regardless of opinions about monarchy as a system. Moving forward, sources suggest the royal family will need to demonstrate value and relevance rather than relying on tradition and deference that younger generations don't automatically provide. According to royal commentators, this might actually force healthy evolution. If the monarchy can't take support for granted, it might reportedly become more responsive to public opinion, more transparent about costs and benefits, more willing to examine which traditions serve genuine purposes and which exist simply because they always have. Sources claim this pressure could potentially make the institution more sustainable by forcing it to justify itself rather than assuming it deserves support simply by existing. But the deeper question remains unresolved. According to political philosophers and democratic theorists, Even a reformed, modernized, transparent monarchy still represents inherited privilege and systematic inequality built into governmental structures. Sources suggest that no amount of evolution changes this fundamental character. You either accept that some level of inherited aristocracy can coexist with democracy, or you conclude that genuine equality requires eliminating hereditary power and privilege entirely. Britain hasn't yet made a collective choice about which vision it embraces. According to polling data, support for monarchy remains majority position but has reportedly declined over recent decades, particularly among younger demographics. Sources suggest that trajectory, if it continues, could eventually reach a tipping point where Republican sentiment becomes politically viable in ways it hasn't been for centuries. The secrets of Buckingham Palace, the tunnels, the bunkers, the exclusive facilities, the priceless collections, will continue existing regardless of these debates. According to preservation experts, many of these features have historical significance that would warrant maintaining them even if Britain abolished monarchy entirely. The building itself, sources claim, would likely remain as a museum, government facility, and tourist attraction, preserving Britain's royal history even if it no longer serves as an active palace. But until that potential future arrives, these secrets continue serving their original purposes, maintaining royal security, comfort, and separation from ordinary life. According to sources, the underground rivers still flow, the wine vaults still hold their treasures, the nuclear bunker still waits in darkness, and the royal family still lives according to rules and privileges that most people can barely imagine. Whether that should continue, according to experts, remains one of the great unresolved questions in British political and cultural life. As you reflect on everything we've explored together, consider that these 20 secrets represent just a fraction of what allegedly remains hidden. According to palace insiders and investigative journalists, much more stays concealed behind classification, non-disclosure agreements, and a culture of discretion refined over centuries. The complete truth about Buckingham Palace and how monarchy really operates reportedly remains one of Britain's most carefully guarded secrets. And perhaps that mystery itself is the most revealing secret of all.